The innocent school beauty rushes toward my front door, despite the torrential rain, just to spend the night with me. But I turned him down. The next day, the school beauty was found brutally murdered in the alley behind my house. Ever since, I've been filled with guilt. After getting into the police academy, I went on a frantic hunt for the real culprit. But the torrential rain washed away all traces. For a full 10 years, no trace was found. But then, a sudden flash of lightning has suddenly sent me back to this crossroads of fate. I heard that your parents are in business, and you're the only one at home. Can I stay at your place for a few days? I can do chores to make up for it. I look at the person in front of me, instinctively reaching out to touch. Byway instinctively tried to dodge, but forced herself to hold back in order to ask for help, and forced myself to stay put. A cold sensation on my fingertips. His slightly trembling reaction all clearly tell me he's still alive. I'm really back. I'm sorry. Byway hurriedly stepped back. Her foot slips, and she falls backward. I acted quickly and grabbed his waist, and pulled him into my arms. Amid the sound of the downpour, silence falls between the two. He'll stay still in my arms. I quickly let go, and stepped back to the edge of the light. You look so cold. I instinctively wanted to give you some warmth. Sorry. It's okay. I stepped aside to let him into the house. Seeing how pale he looked, my thoughts began to race. After the criminal from a past life committed this crime in the Shanghai clan, he vanished without a trace. This time, I'm not just going to save him, but also use my years of criminal investigation experience. I'll go to the crime scene tonight to rescue the real culprit. Byway stood nervously in the entryway, nervously tugging at the hem of her shirt. Seeing me turn to get my slippers, he gets even more flustered. My socks are wet. It'll get my slippers dirty. I'll just go in barefoot. I'll mop the floor for you in a bit. A man and a woman alone in a room on a stormy night, soaked to the bone, which left him in a state of extreme anxiety. He dug his fingernails deep into the palms of his hands, forcing himself to stay calm. While I turn away, he quickly scanned the area out of the corner of his eye, until he spotted the hot tea on the coffee table and the scattered cardboard boxes. I finally relaxed my tense back a little, drying my hair. Go ahead and use it if you don't mind. Can I borrow another shirt? My clothes are a little wet. That's when I noticed he was just clutching his soaked shirt. He was going to change anyway. I might as well take a hot bath. Otherwise, you'll catch a cold. There's no fish tank in the guest room. Go to the bathroom in my room. I'll run a hot bath. I heard you're going to take a shower in my bathroom. Byway shyly lowered her head. Shengru and Rui gave a brief reply. The sound of running water echoes from the bathroom. Byway watches my busy back. Finally mustering the courage, Gu. Just call me by my name. Are you asking? Why? Didn't ask you why you contacted me. 100 flavors of difference. Look up. Nodded with curiosity. A girl as pretty as you, knocking on the door in the pouring rain, begging for shelter. There must be a compelling reason, since you can't talk about it, or it would be rude to press the issue. Hearing this, Byway's eyes welled up. I'm Hao Shuwen. I get up and walk slowly toward him. Suddenly, she raises her hand and presses it against the wall next to his ear, encircling him in her arms. I'm not worried about what you're up to. But aren't you afraid of living here? Am I going to try to take advantage of you? Byway leaned against the wall, biting her lip lightly. She felt a wave of warmth wash over her. I believe in you. His beautiful, bold eyes stared straight at me. This reply completely killed any room I had to keep probing, thinking about the important business I have to attend to tonight. I smiled and withdrew my hand. Go take a bath. Go change your clothes. With a figure like yours. With your figure, I'll just put this in the washing machine to take the place of your clothes. Then I'll put them in the dryer. It'll dry quickly. Thank you. Byway turned and went into the bathroom. That thank you is partly for taking me in, half is gratitude for your understanding and tolerance. The sound of running water comes from the bathroom. I smiled and turned away from the bedroom to make some ginger tea. A moment later, the bathroom door swung open. Byway walked out wearing a baggy sweatshirt. A faint blush spreads across her cheeks from the heat, revealing the fair skin above her knees. I've already put your slippers out for you. Byway slips on the warm, fluffy slippers. Her shyness faded away considerably. Just stepped out of the bedroom. She caught the comforting scent of honey ginger tea. I approached her with the mug. My gaze sweeps over the wide neckline of her sweatshirt. His Adam's apple twitches slightly. Come have some ginger and sugar water. Byway takes the mug and sips it in small sips. Would you like me to cook you some noodles? Would that be too much trouble? What's the trouble? It'll only take a few minutes. You go first. I'll add 2 eggs for you. I was just about to get up when a little hand pulled me back. I can fry an egg. I'll help too. I'll come help. My sharp knife skills took Byway by surprise. On the cutting board, quickly slices the tomatoes and ham into neat pieces. Byway steps onto a small stool and stands on tiptoe to reach the top layer of the egg carton. As he moves, the hem of his baggy sweatshirt flips up. I glanced out of the corner of my eye. Her face flushed instantly. Byway seemed to notice my gaze and hurriedly tugged at the hem of her sweatshirt. But I lost my balance on the small stool. I hurriedly reached out from behind to steady him, but my palm unexpectedly slipped to a place I shouldn't have touched. His body went limp and fell right into my arms. The scent of sandalwood and the citrusy fragrance of the body wash blending together, we will both remain in place until the boiling water splashes out. Did this illusion shatter? I quickly pulled my hand back. I stepped back half a step and shoved the ladle into his hand. You stir, I'll get the eggs. As I turn, I catch a glimpse of my own reddened earlobes in the mirror. So all these years, it wasn't that I didn't have feelings for girls. It's just that there was no one else who could make my heart race like this. Byway blushed and looked down, stirring her noodles. Sizzling. Sizzling. Perfectly masking the pounding of my heart. The aroma of tomato noodle soup quickly filled the kitchen. I served the noodles, carefully avoiding her slightly trembling fingertips. Careful, it's hot. If you want to watch a certain channel, tune it yourself. The moment the TV turns on, Byway suddenly clenches her chopsticks. To my surprise, the screen was showing something I had forgotten. To switch study materials, the footage is extremely intense. I cleared my throat awkwardly and quickly switched to the TV on-demand interface. He casually clicked on Crayon Shin-chan. I almost forgot. Back then, it was because I was afraid of getting caught watching this that I refused to let the school beauty in. Fortunately, after all these years, I'm much less shy these days. I can keep a straight face and act like nothing's wrong. Cut quickly. Byway quickly changes the subject. So you're such a good cook. I'll get some tissues and gently wipe away the tiny beads of sweat from the tip of his nose. Once you've broken a sweat, the cold has been driven out. Take your time eating. There's still some left in the pot. He eats his noodles intently. He ate every last bit of the noodles and soup. A look of satisfaction on his face. Is one bowl enough to fill you up? No sooner had he finished speaking, a thunderclap suddenly rang out outside the window. I reflexively glanced at the wall clock. 9:57. Only about half an hour left until the time of the incident in my past life. In this life, I will definitely see the killer's true face. Time is running out. I'm ready to head out right away to investigate the area near the crime scene. I brought a glass of water and a blanket and covered him with it. Since I'm full, let's watch TV in the living room to help with digestion. I'll wash up when I get back tonight. I'm going out to get some late-night snacks. I'll be back soon. You're going out in this downpour? It's fine, it's really close. When I reached the door, I suddenly stopped and turned around. I was worried the criminal had planned the crime, or even that they might have been following him and are lurking nearby. Remember, until I get back, no matter who rings the doorbell, don't open the door. I have a key. Don't press the doorbell. You'll hear my instructions. Byway nodded obediently, like a little kitten, wrapping herself tightly in blanket as the door closes. Watching the empty room, he curled up on the sofa, quietly waiting for me to return. I opened my black umbrella and stepped into the rain. I glanced at my waterproof watch. The time is 9:58 p.m. Forensic analysis of the previous life. Byway's time of death was around 10:30. My target tonight is his past life. The 24-hour convenience store on the way. In her past life, Byway borrowed an umbrella at the convenience store. She finished her meal before heading toward the scene of the incident. Although he stayed at my place tonight, I have to confirm whether the timeline will change. Stunt double correction. Have someone else die in Byway's place. I will never allow that to happen. On the way, I took out my phone to check the home security feed. On the screen, Byway is sitting on the sofa with her knees hugged to her chest, watching TV. To make sure he's staying home and not running around, I quickened my pace. Just as I arrived near the convenience store, I heard a question mark by the trash can at the end of the alley. A slender figure is huddled there. A few thugs are surrounding him, punching and kicking him. They arrogantly demand to know what he's hiding. The man pinned to the ground, clutching a light gray handkerchief. A tin box lies on the ground nearby. I recognized it immediately as belonging to the reclusive who was often bullied. Here's my voice. Those thugs suddenly turned around. Their faces turned pale in an instant. Since my parents have quite a bit of influence in Shanghai City, these thugs usually kept their distance from me. I didn't even put my umbrella down. They fled in panic, as if they had seen a ghost. All that remained in the alley was the sound of rain pounding on the tin roof. I crouched down and hold the umbrella steady over Yazi's head. Are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the hospital to get checked out? He still has a mark on his wrist from 3 months ago. From the bar, I reached out to help him, but he jerked his hand back as if he'd been electrocuted. The tin can hit the wall. A few crayons and half a bag of cat food roll into the muddy water. He bends down to pick up his backpack. Her soaked bangs hide the tears at the corners of her eyes. I noticed his left. Dark brown dirt stuck between his fingernails, like dried up snow. With such a heavy downpour, and you're still out here feeding stray cats? Yazi gave a vague reply. She suddenly started coughing violently. His slender shoulders shiver in the rain. I took off my coat and threw it to him. Put it on. Isn't your mom away on a business trip again? If you get sick again, who's going to take care of your brother? Just then, suddenly, surveillance footage from my past life flashed through my mind. In her past life, Bai Wei was standing outside the convenience store. I think I saw something. Only then did I begin to imagine. At this moment, I see Yates. It suddenly dawned on me. Bai Wei must have seen Yashi at that moment. Being bullied. All sorts of details from my past life flashed through my mind. If Bai Wei had left in my past life convenience TV to prevent this tragedy, the sight of him, soaked through, is very likely to make the bullying by this group of thugs escalate into harassment. I tried hard to recall Monday Industrial's expression earlier. His injuries were much worse back then than they are now. Yet he didn't react much to Bai Wei's death. This indicates it's highly likely that in a past life, he risked his life to hold me back so I could get through. So Bai Wei wasn't taken away by them. Since they didn't do it, then the real killer is someone else. After some deduction, I instantly zeroed in on a crucial piece of information. I was furious. On a day like this, with torrential rain, who went out carrying that deadly knife is the prime suspect, considering that those 3 thugs are very likely to be carrying knives. I immediately regretted letting them go just now. As for Yazi, who was covered in wounds, in his past life he was able to live a normal life until graduation. For now, we'll just have to set him aside. If you're okay, you should head home soon. I lifted my foot, just about to leave. I stopped again to take a look at Yazi's broken umbrella. He shoved the black umbrella in his hand into hers. Your umbrella is broken. Use mine. I have something else to do, so I can't. Back down. Be careful and hurry home. Before Yazi could refuse, I've already plunged into the downpour, running until I'm out of sight. Because the rain was too heavy. Those 3 thugs didn't get very far. They're hiding under a smoke signal. To shelter from the rain, they were cursing and arguing whether to put a burlap sack over my head and beat me up. But you're too afraid to lay a finger on me because of my family's background. Just as they were wavering, I have already, with the utmost possible. The 3 thugs were startled. They thought I was there to collect money. Lian Baishu, step back. Hey. 3 friends. Can I borrow something? The 3 look at each other. Their eyes brim with wariness. I won't lend you money. The other 3 looked at me with puzzled expressions. I stared at them with a harmless smile. The 3 thugs froze in their tracks. They clearly didn't understand my request. 3 guys on the streets. You wouldn't be out and about without even a knife, would you? The reverse psychology worked like a charm. Green hair isn't having it. And, furious, pulls a butterfly knife from his pocket and started playing with it right in front of me, showing it off. I just glanced at it and decided, this is definitely not the cut mentioned in the forensic report. With a smooth edge. This one's too flashy. I'll pay 100 yuan for a knife, like a fruit knife. Where there's a will, the other 2 thugs scramble to make a run for it. A multifunctional Swiss Army knife and a military folding knife with a cold gleam. Neither of these knives is the murder weapon I'm looking for. The knives are good knives. Too bad I only brought 100 yuan. Never mind, I'll just ignore the thugs' suspicions. The one who got played is cursing. He turns around and plunges back into the cold rain. These 3 thugs aren't carrying the murder weapon I'm looking for. This lead has completely dried up. A intense sense of anxiety burns in my chest. Actually, the simplest way to solve a case is to reject Bai Wei, just like in my past life. and then secretly follow her, we'll be able to catch the real culprit red-handed at the crime scene. But if we do it again, the moment I see him safe and sound again, I simply couldn't contain the flutter in my heart. I'd rather go through a search as unlikely as finding a needle in a haystack than to ever again to take even the slightest risk. I went back to the convenience store to buy an umbrella. The kind clerk handed me a clean towel so I could wipe the rain off my head. I've arrived at the raw crab water wiping machine, put my phone in a waterproof bag. Then I mimicked the way Byway used to leave the house in my past life and once again opened my umbrella as I stepped into the raging storm. Just stepping into the curtain of clouds, the gale nearly snapped the umbrella's ribs. I stepped through the mud and broken glass and finally reached the starting point of the security camera's blind spot. This is exactly where the traces of my past life lie, the crime scene repeatedly mentioned in the forensic report. The waterproof watch glows faintly, displaying 22:17. A sudden gust of wind, and instantly flipped the umbrella. I decided to just ditch the umbrella. As the icy rain pelted down on him, the phone vibrates inside its waterproof case. Leaning against the damp brick wall, I opened the home security feed. In the glow of the heated room, Byway is curled up in the corner of the sofa, restlessly rubbing her feet, glancing frequently at the door. Her expression is filled with anticipation, yet tinged with a touch of worry. Just wait a little longer. Don't worry, it's now 10:29 p.m. Suddenly, a clang of metal echoes from the end of the alley. I immediately rushed over, but unexpectedly saw someone I knew. The famous Jiang Gan from StarCraft 2. At that moment, he was sitting under the awning of an illegal structure, peeling an apple with a fruit knife. Isn't that old GU? It's the middle of the night, and the wind and rain are so fierce. And not even an umbrella. What are you doing here? I'm just running an errand. We've been blown away. This Osaka of yours is toxic too. Jiang Yan used the tip of the knife to lift the wrinkled apple from the plastic bag. I know his reputation as a school bully is just a cover. His family is poor, and his mother suffers from severe uremia. I brought my mom some fruit, but I got sent back. The edge of his rain boots stuck to the anti-slip vinyl commonly found in hospital hallways. Stuck too, mixed with the distinctive smell of disinfectant from the ICU. Yet my gaze was fixed on the fruit knife in his hand. The characteristics of this knife matched the description of the murder weapon in the Byway case. Exactly the same. What are you doing standing in the fish? Hurry up and come over. My house is right next door. Let me lend you an umbrella. I just walked into the shelter. Jiang Yan's cell phone suddenly rang urgently. An anxious shout came from the nurse on the other end of the line, saying his mother's blood oxygen levels had plummeted. Jiang Yan's expression changed instantly. The fruit knife plopped into the puddle. He didn't even have time to say hello. He turned around in a frenzy and just ran off into the downpour. I bent down and picked up the knife from the muddy water. I felt its cold touch. After a careful inspection, I have thoroughly confirmed that I was at this location. The dimensions and style match perfectly. This is the murder weapon used to kill Byway in her past life. If the murder weapon was accidentally discarded by Jiang Yan, then the real killer, it is very likely to happen within the next half hour. Pass by and alert. I took a deep breath and tossed the knife back where I found it, drawing on my years of criminal investigation experience. I'll slip into the shadows and quietly submit. Rain falls like pearls. 22:35. A man reeking of alcohol stumbles into the shed. He kicks over a can and his mud-covered canvas shoes. He gripped the knife handle tightly. He pressed the blade deep into the mud. Then, holding the half-empty bottle, he staggers away. 22:47. A food delivery rider swerves sharply on his bike, accidentally stepped on a knife, and fell. He got up, cursing under his breath, and kicked the blade into the crack of the gutter. Uni instantly covered the entire blade. The time is now 10:55 p.m. A knife covered in mud. It's already extremely difficult to be stumbled upon by chance. The estimated time of Byway's death in her previous life is just a few minutes. Suddenly, a figure dressed in black raincoat, a masked figure flashes past the end of the alley. He hunches his back and walks straight toward the knife covered in mud. Crouched down, every muscle in my body tensed instantly like a bow. It was evident the moment he reached out and gripped the hilt, on the wrist peeking out from his cuff. There was a conspicuous scar from a sulfuric acid burn. I suddenly stepped out of the shadows. In the dim light, I could clearly see the face beneath the raincoat. It was actually the notorious good guy from Shanghai No. 2 High School. Chemistry teacher Li Mingyuan. A storm raged within me. 3 months ago. It was him who helped the students who were roughhousing in the lab, and ended up getting burned by sulfuric acid himself. Afterward, he even gently comforted the student responsible. He is still known to suffer from bronchitis. Not a single bad review for miles around. But if he's the killer, then all the mysteries from the past would make sense. In her past life, Bai Wei was studying in a pitch-black alley, but didn't run away. It was precisely because he was absolutely convinced that this gentle, good-natured man, if Li Mingyuan offered to shield him from the rain with a raincoat and take him home to be looked after by his wife, in the midst of that stormy night, feeling utterly helpless, Bai Wei wouldn't have the slightest bit of guard up. Thinking of this, I felt an overwhelming sense of grief. But I can't act rashly. After all, Li Mingyuan hasn't committed any crimes yet. I've decided to use criminal investigation techniques. Find out why he's out so late at night. Teacher Li Mingyuan, immediately looked up and saw that I was soaking wet. Her face was full of surprise and concern. Ji Nansheng, how did you get soaked like this? I went out to run some errands and got caught in the rain. Why did Teacher Li go out in such heavy rain? I stared intently at his expression and keenly caught a fleeting hint of hesitation. Nothing. I just came out to buy a pack of cigarettes. He's lying. Li Mingyuan doesn't smoke at all. He's widely recognized as a devoted family man. My raincoat is roomy. Come inside and get out of the rain first. I'll take you to my place and lend you my raincoat to wear home. He still has that same friendly demeanor. My brother nodded blankly and slipped into his raincoat. In the crowd, I noticed his gaze. My eyes instinctively swept over the adult novelty vending machine next to me, then quickly looks away and wrapped his arm around my shoulder. All the way there, I walked like a zombie, looking dejected. When I reached my front door, Li Mingyuan suddenly pulled out his phone and sent a text message, and quickly put it away. I forgot my keys. Wait a sec, ha ha ha. But I definitely felt it just now. He was wearing a key on his waist. This is the second time he's lied tonight. Mine just keep getting bigger. After a moment, the door finally opened. It was Li Mingyuan's wife who opened the door. Shen Qing, the chemistry teacher at Hongxiao. He's wearing a silk robe, with the belt loosened, flushed cheeks. The warm light from the entryway reveals my bias. The tilted wine bottle on the living room coffee table, a burning scented candle, and scattered rose petals. The air is thick with lingering intimacy. In this moment, everything suddenly became clear in my mind. All the clues, instantly connecting into a clear trajectory. Mr. Li had planned a romantic evening with his wife, but discovered he had run out of toilet paper, so I went out in the rain to buy some. Out of my habit of being a people pleaser, he reached down to clear the debris blocking the drain, and accidentally picked up the fruit knife. Because I ran into you, he felt too embarrassed to go buy supplies again, and he didn't feel comfortable leaving me alone, so they brought me back. And just now, I pretended I didn't have my keys and sent a text. Was just to give my wife, who was wearing a sexy nightgown. All his unusual behavior all made perfect sense at that moment. How did you get soaked like this? Sorry about that. Quick, wipe it with this towel. Thanks, boss. I took the towel and dried my hair, but my doubts turned into even greater confusion. If he's still that same nice guy? If his wife is eagerly waiting for him to come home? A man like Wen-kun will really get a lustful look on his face when he sees your students on the street, and kill them just because you're attracted to them. Shen Qing noticed Li Mingyuan, and that he was still holding a dirty knife. Curious, he asks, where you got the knife? Why is it so dirty? Picked it up from a sewer grate? It blocked quite a bit of trash. I just happened to run into Ji Nansheng, who had forgotten to throw it away. Li Mingyuan said this as he prepared to throw the knife into the trash can. But I suddenly sensed something was wrong. Wait a minute, Teacher Li. Let me take a look at that knife. Li Mingyuan turned the knife over in confusion, with the tip pointing inward, handled outward, handed to me. This instinctive defensive reaction once again demonstrated the gentleness deep within him. I took the fruit knife and examined it closely. My expression changed instantly. It was too dark before, so I couldn't see clearly. The blade of this knife actually has a slight bevel. This was clearly caused by Jiang Yan using it to cut through something hard. In the forensic report, there is absolutely no mention of a curved blade. There will be a noticeable difference in the cut. This means the real murder weapon wasn't this knife at all. I completely targeted the wrong person. I jerked my wrist to glance at my watch. It was already 11 p.m. The real killer might have just appeared around this time. I'm thinking about the next episode. I quickly shoved the towel back at Shen Qing. Sorry, Teacher Li. It's getting late. I have to hurry home. I'll borrow your raincoat for now. I shoved the knife handle back into Li Mingyuan's hand. I threw on a raincoat and plunged into the downpour. I ran all the way back to the scene of the crime. I searched the area several times. Occasionally, a passerby hurried by. But it's nothing like a killer who would stop in the middle of a crime. 11:30 p.m. The streets are deserted. I took out my phone to check the surveillance footage. Bai Wei curled up on the sofa, nodding sleepily like a chick pecking at grain, but still fighting off sleep, glancing toward the door from time to time, waiting for me to come home. I clenched my fists. I might as well take off my raincoat, keep wandering around the pitch-black crime scene, until past midnight, and still haven't seen a single suspicious person. In my heart is instead filled with a deep sense of helplessness and meaning. Have I really missed it? Until the clock struck midnight, and still haven't seen a single suspicious person. In my heart is instead filled with a deep sense of helplessness and meaning. Have I really missed it? If we can't find the killer, how will Bai Wei clear the injustice of her past life? I tilt my head back and let the torrential rain wash it away. My gaze grows ever more determined. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. I immediately opened the surveillance feed. In the footage, Bai Wei looked drowsy. She still forces herself to endure her fear of loneliness. Walked to the door, pacing back and forth, looking worried. Hey. The sudden voice startled him. He quickly looked toward the sound, glancing at the surveillance monitor. It's not hard to see that I got held up by something. I'll be back soon. If you're tired, go ahead and sleep. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm not sleepy yet. Waiting for you to come back. He forces a gentle smile at the camera. I promise I'll be right back. He dragged his weary body and curled back up in the blanket. Her expression finally relaxed considerably. Looking at the empty street, I stand in the downpour, letting the icy water wash over me. It's a habit I've had for years. Heng Shui helps my brain get going quickly. I start frantically replaying everything that happened tonight. Convenience store clerk, Yi Sai, and 3 thugs. I've put everyone on the list of suspects. When Yi Si was mugged by thugs, his backpack was turned upside down, and not a single penny was found on him. Not to mention the murder weapon. Rule out the 3 thugs. They had a motive, but the knives they were holding weren't up to par. Excluding the knife the homeless man and the delivery driver came into contact with. Nor is it the actual murder weapon. After ruling out all the unlikely suspects, my memory rewinds. I've set my sights on someone I never thought possible. Jiang Yan rushed to the hospital because his mother was critically ill. He dropped the knife at the scene, but if his mother's condition stabilizes quickly, half an hour was enough for him to make a round trip to the hospital, if he's on his way back, because he realized he'd lost his knife, and went back to a nearby store. I just bought a new fruit knife. It's definitely in the case file. Between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. that night, someone braved the rain to buy a fruit knife. And the time he came back, perfectly avoided me and Teacher Li. During the time I was at his place, after going through the whole story, Jiang Yan's suspicion instantly grew exponentially. It's easy to verify this theory. Go knock on the Jiang Yan family's door right now. If he's already home, and I actually bought a new knife, then his suspicion is completely ruined. I followed my memory to the area near his house. My heart sank. All the lights in his house were on. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The door opened. Jiang Yan is shirtless, with a towel draped over his head. Oh, gee, you, what the hell are you doing? It's so late and you're still not home. Where did you get that raincoat? I walked inside. My gaze. Instantly, his gaze locked onto a brand new fruit knife on the table. The mysterious figure in the case file who bought a knife in the rain late at night. It really was him. Teacher Lai lent it to me. You just got back? Yeah, something came up with my mom just now. I was so flustered I forgot to lend you an umbrella. What are you doing out so late? Nothing, I just like walking around in the rain. You were running so fast earlier. The knife fell on the ground. Why did you buy a new one? Holy crap, that's why I couldn't find it after searching all my pockets. Where did it go? Teacher Li must have picked it up and thrown it in the trash. Never mind then. Anyway, the blade got a little dull from cutting wood. I just went out and bought a new one. He smiled casually, but my heart was heavy. The time he returned home matches the time of the incident perfectly. And he actually bought a replica of the murder weapon. The suspicion simply cannot be ruled out. I'm choosing my words carefully, and decided to test Jiang Yan directly. Let's consider ourselves friends. How can that count? We're all good brothers. Is something wrong? Just tell me straight up. Seeing how righteous he looks, I looked him straight in the eyes. I don't want to see you one day. Think more about the consequences of your actions. Auntie can't do without your care. Don't do anything illegal or against the rules. Jiang Yan froze. He completely misunderstood me, thinking I had found out that he was planning to sell counterfeit cigarettes at school. Not only was he not angry, but was actually deeply moved that I had come out in the rain to talk some sense into him. Don't worry, no one knows my criminal style. Don't you know yet? I wouldn't do that, I replied, looking at the graveyard. To take my leave, I don't know. This series of accidental taps made him completely give up on the idea of selling counterfeit cigarettes. As I turned and walked into the mist, he gave my younger brother a light punch in the chest from behind. He silently vowed, he's convinced I'm his best friend for life. I said goodbye to Jiang Yan with mixed feelings, holding Teacher Lai's raincoat, and quietly returned to the front of his house. Puts down the raincoat. A faint, blush-inducing sound drifts from inside. Heartbeat. So I didn't make a sound to disturb them. I walked home in the pouring rain. Yet my mood gradually lightened. If Jiang Yan really is the killer, then right now, is at least still in a position where he can be properly guided to eliminate evil thoughts. I met so many people tonight. For now, no one is a bigger suspect than him. I got home after midnight, accompanied by the sound of the door opening. I, who had been dozing under the blanket, suddenly opened his eyes wide. He sees me coming back. He immediately broke into a happy smile, ran over at a brisk pace. But as he got closer, he realized I was soaking wet. Go buy some late-night snacks? How did you get yourself so wet all over? The wind and rain are too strong. The umbrella broke, and the late-night snack blew away. You won't get anything to eat. Go take a hot bath right away. You're going to catch a cold like this. Seeing the look of concern on his face, I smiled. The bed in the guest room was just a hardboard. Nothing is set up. Why don't you just sleep on the couch tonight? Or squeeze in with me? I'll just sleep on the couch. Just kidding. You can sleep in the bed, and I'll take the couch. Let me take a bath first. I don't want to get the floor I just mopped all wet. I might as well just do it right here in the living room. And took off my waterlogged clothes. Here's the sound of medical equipment. Bai Wei instinctively looked up. The taut lines of her muscles made his heart pound like a drum. He felt his face burning hot. His throat felt as if it were stuffed with cotton, and he couldn't make a sound. I'm going to take a bath first. I'll call you into the bedroom to sleep after I'm done. I didn't notice anything unusual about him. I walked into the bathroom, holding the wet clothes. Bai Wei nodded mechanically, until the sharp sound of running water came from the bathroom. Did he collapse onto the sofa, as if all the strength had been drained from him, pressing the back of his hand firmly against his burning cheek? I don't know how long it's been. I walked out, wrapped in a towel. I was going to tell him to sleep in the bedroom, but I saw him hugging the blanket like a kitten, curled up on the sofa, fast asleep. Chi Weier's peaceful breathing could be heard. I walked over slowly. I crouched down and quietly leaned toward his sleeping eyes, watching his steady breathing. I still feel as if I'm in a dream. When I reached out to brush the strands of hair from his face, the droplets of water on her arm, landing precisely on the cupid's bow of his lips. He unconsciously licked his lips. Startled, I quickly tightened my fingers. A clap of thunder outside the window. Bai Wei suddenly rolls over, and half the blanket fell off. I instinctively reached out to catch it, but instead touched his warm ankle. I can clearly feel his previously steady breathing became erratic. His eyelashes trembled violently. Body temperature gradually rises. He woke up but didn't open his eyes. I didn't call him out. Instead, I scooped him up along with the blanket and walked steadily toward the bedroom. The girl in his arms grows increasingly nervous. I gently laid him on the bed, pulled out the blanket, and put on my blanket. Then I leaned down and whispered in his ear. The heat of my breath made him instinctively to pull his neck back. I smiled and turned to walk out the door. As the door closed, Bai Wei opened her eyes in the darkness. Actually, it's just a few short steps from the living room to the bedroom. His mind had already gone completely blank. He was extremely nervous, but he never expected to hear a sweet good night. He clutched the edge of the blanket with his small hand and pulled it up to his nose. The faint scent of shower gel lingering on the blanket. For the first time in his life, he wasn't curled up in a ball. Instead, he stretched out, wrapped himself tightly in the blanket, and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, the torrential rain that had fallen all night finally began to ease. Having had a good night's sleep, Baiwei woke up early and put on the clothes she had dried last night to break the silence that comes with doing housework. He, very consciously, and tidied up the bedroom for me. But when he finally walked out of the room on his own, but suddenly froze in place, I was just too tired last night. With a towel wrapped around my lower body, covered with a blanket, he passed out on the couch. At that moment, I had my back to him, but the bath towel that should have been wrapped around me had somehow slipped completely to the floor. Baiwei's face flushed bright red in an instant. To divert attention, he skillfully used the ingredients in the fridge to make a sandwich and hot milk. But in my mind, that unsettling image from just now, flushed-faced scene, just as Baiwei had set the breakfast on the table. I also woke up on the sofa. Half asleep and half awake, I instinctively reached out toward the nightstand to find my hearing aid, but only felt the cold glass of the coffee table. I suddenly pushed myself up with my left hand to get to my feet. The scar on my left shoulder, a reminder of the chase after that dangerous criminal. Surprisingly, not a single twinge of pain. Pressing my temples, frowning, she pulls back the bath towel. The skin under his gaze instantly evokes a memory. The scars from the struggle on my body vanished, replaced by a young body smooth as new. I came to my senses, completely. I really am back 10 years ago. I jerked my head toward the moving bedroom door. My heart skipped a beat, until I saw his back as he bustled about in the kitchen. I collapsed heavily back onto the sofa. I let out a sigh. Great, it's not a dream. He really survived that stormy night. In a past life, he was a detective. I carried endless guilt and exhaustion. I've never enjoyed a single day of the life a young person should have. And he's still here. My youth has returned. This time, I've decided to live my life to the fullest. Ji-yu nan cheng. It's time to get up and eat. I've already made breakfast. I don't know if it's to your liking. Baiwei peeks out from the dining room and called out gently. I sat up and followed the scent. A tempting scent of wheat and milk wafted through the air. I'll be right there. I walk over to the dining table. Baiwei is sitting there quietly, waiting for me. Don't wait for me next time. You go ahead and eat. It's fine. I'll just wait for you to finish so we can wash the dishes together. Try it and see if you like it. Needs improvement. I'll do that next time. With skills like that, you could open a shop on the street, behind the school. I'll handle the cash register and you'll do the cooking. I'm actually pretty hardworking when I'm on my own. But living with you, I'm afraid I'll turn into a lazy slob. Haha. Baiwei cups her cheeks with both hands. Her smile grows even brighter. I take a bite of the sandwich. The warm, cheese-filled fried egg glides over my tongue. It tastes surprisingly good. I pull out a tissue and casually wiped away the greasy residue on the tip of his nose. A blush instantly spread across Baiwei's ears. She shyly lowered her head to stir the milk in the frozen cup. After finishing breakfast, I was about to clear the dishes, when I happened to bump into his outstretched hand. That hand was soft, yet felt icy cold. Baiwei insisted on taking on all the housework. She tidied up the kitchen with remarkable efficiency. Dust-free just came out of the kitchen. He looks around, ready to get back to work. I grabbed his little hand and forced him to sit on the sofa. You don't look too well. You're not allowed to work these next couple of days. I am the master. You must obey my orders and rest properly, or I'll have to kick you out. Baiwei was taken aback by my words. She obediently nodded and agreed to go shopping with me later. Let me take you shopping for some new clothes. I'll go home to grab a change of clothes. Mentioned going home? His expression clearly showed some resistance and awkwardness. No need. I'll buy a new one. I don't have any money on me, so just put it on my tab for now. Principal and interest. You're gonna have to work your ass off as my nanny here. If you don't pay it off, I won't let you go. Baiwei could naturally hear the plea in my words. A warm feeling washed over her. Finally, a peaceful smile appeared. She quietly agreed. Where do you usually buy your clothes? But Zushe wants the second-hand shop on the corner of Back Street. You can get a whole set for 50 yuan. But I did disinfect it thoroughly. I always boil it 3 times in nutrient-rich water and then dry it thoroughly in the sun. A hint of urgency crept into his soft voice, as if he were afraid I might look down on him because of it. I suddenly remembered a place. The clothes there are really nice. Suddenly, I grabbed her hand. Baiwei drew her gun and took a half step back. Her forehead gently bumped against my shoulder blade. He didn't support it properly. He let me lead him. We stopped in front of a glass display window at the corner. The wooden door of the tailor shop must be closed, along with the bell and the lazy farewell of the phonograph. Intertwined. Baiwei looked at the expensive fabrics displayed in the shop window. She fidgeted nervously with the cuffs that wouldn't stay in place. My apologies. It looks so expensive. The owner is an old classmate of my mom's, specializing in student-made crafts. Affordable, feel free to buy. I pushed open the door. The shop is filled with the scent of steamed cotton. Aunt Shu behind the counter looks up. Her gaze falls on the two of them holding hands, laughing until fine lines appear at the corners of their eyes. What a beautiful girl. It's hard to bring your girlfriend along to pick out clothes. Bai Wei's face instantly turned red. I could sense her nervousness. Gently let go of Xu's hand. Help him look at a few seasonal clothes. We'll need a few sets of underwear too. It has to be 100% cotton, Class A. Shu Yi smiled as he pulled Bai Wei aside. After 11 shots, the curtain only covers her neck for a moment. Bai Wei. I always feel as if I'm exposed in my line of sight. She shyly shrinks back into the shelves. I stepped back and sat down by the window. I absent-mindedly flipped through the sample book. Lian Hoqi's voice came clearly into her ears. That lace really doesn't need to listen to Auntie. A woman should please herself. Wear underwear underneath. Just wear what you like. This outfit will definitely drive that brat in Nancheng crazy. It's up to you. He likes it too. Killing two birds with one stone? Bai Wei had intended to explain their relationship, but the words were on the tip of her tongue, yet she just couldn't bring herself to say them. In the end, I just blushed and pressed my lips together. After picking out her underwear, Shu Yi grabbed a few more outfits and slipped behind the curtain, listening to the rustling sound of fabric inside. A thin layer of sweat breaks out on the back of my neck. In my mind, I can't stop imagining how he'd look wearing it. The curtain swishes open. Wouldn't that be weird? Bai Wei twirled halfway around, clutching the hem of her skirt. The morning light bathed him in a translucent honey-colored glow. Cotton. The hem of her skirt swirled in a graceful arc, just like Zhu Zunling's. My Adam's apple bobbed heavily. I suddenly stand up to straighten his shirt collar. The second button is wrong. I could feel my skin brush against his side. I jerked my hand back, as if I'd been electrocuted. I grabbed a straw hat from the side to shield him from the sun and placed it on his head. To hide her panic. Looks like you're all satisfied. Let's try lifting these curtains again. Semi-transparent residence. Hemp fibers outline the girl's imperfections in the morning light. For a moment, I couldn't take my eyes off it. Shu Yi couldn't see. One outfit after another fits her perfectly. It looks like he's getting hooked on styling. I rushed over to stop him. Okay. Shu Yi, stop dubbing. My credit card is about to max out. What's there to be afraid of? I'll just ask your mom to reimburse me later. He'd be thrilled to spend money on his daughter-in-law. I thought you two had already tied the knot. I smiled wryly and begged him again and again to keep it a secret. Shu Yi jokingly offered a 10% discount as a favor. She wrapped the underwear separately at checkout. Leaning close to my ear, she whispered, "Your little girlfriend's figure. Shu Yi has appraised it for you." I choked on my drink, my face flushed, and handed over my credit card. Out of the corner of my eye, and sees Bai Wei standing on tiptoe, watching the lace by the window as she falls asleep. The morning light makes her look incredibly youthful and beautiful. In a daze, that harrowing photo of the death scene in the torrential rain from a past life flashed through my mind once more. I clenched my fists tightly and silently vowed to myself, as long as I live, we'll stick together no matter what. This wonderful moment is all set. The only clothes left are the bedding. I walk ahead carrying the shopping bags. Bai Wei walks a little slower. She sneaking glances at me out of the corner of her eye. The mint green lace trim on the shopping bag fluttering gently in the breeze. The home furnishing store is on the 4th floor. Just pick whatever you like. You're the one who ends up sleeping with them anyway. Right now, we're just like a couple out shopping. He's a little nervous and sweet. Entered the bedding store. The warm yellow light makes everything look very soft. I pushed the shopping cart alongside him, watching him bend down to pick something out. I get the illusion of newlyweds furnishing their home. Isn't this a bit too expensive? Why is it expensive? If you like it, just give it a try. I took a silk quilt and tucked it into his arms. He smiled, but said nothing. When I was crouched in front of the shelf, comparing the fillings, he quietly took that bed, 4-digit priced silk quilt back, picked up a cheap, light green washed cotton quilt. This feels nice. What's so good about it? The texture is so bad. I realized he was put off by the price. She stood up and gently tapped his forehead. Okay, bed. Can improve sleep quality, and I won't be staying in guest rooms anymore. We can wash them and leave them for the guests to use. It's okay to buy the expensive ones. We can't keep up with this pun about the guest room. Made him pick up on a different meaning. He was slightly taken aback. Come try out the support of this mattress. Before he could react, I yanked him into the fluffy silk quilt and casually slipped a memory foam pillow under his head. Her palm pressed against his back through the fabric, gently brushed against his lower back. Bai Wei lay in the soft bedding, her cheeks slightly flushed. She just feels... The air around me was filled with a honey-like... After buying everything, he stared at the pale-colored blanket in the shopping cart and whispered a thank you. Thank you, Jiyu Nanchang. I suddenly stopped in my tracks. He instinctively bumped into my back. You don't need to say thank you anymore. Actions speak louder than words. Before you repay me, whatever happens, you must not come to any harm. Although he was stunned, he still obediently nodded. Let's go home. After paying, leave your address so the store can deliver the order. I carried the clothes and took him home. As we passed by the corner of Jushushi, the fragrance of osmanthus rice wine wafts gently through the air. I bought a steaming hot rice cake. I blew on it and brought it to his lips. He took a bite. The sugar-coated osmanthus flower stuck halfway to the corner of his mouth. I casually wiped it off for him with my thumb. Is it good? Wow, it's sweet and fragrant. Next time, I'll take you to the snack street. There's even more good food over there. Listen to my promise. He gazed at my back with a dazed look. I don't know. He's actually always kept it in mind. That promise we made in the park when we were young. When I got home after buying all the toiletries, the bedding had already been delivered. I'm kneeling on the floor in the guest room putting on a duvet cover. Bai Wei is standing nearby, holding a new pillow. Let me do it. I'll handle it. I'm afraid you'll sew yourself into the blanket. I shake out the Shenyuan sheets. I turn and drape the sheet like a cloth over his head. Now the whole bed. The whole room is yours. Until you get tired of it. This simple phrase instantly struck a chord deep within him. He suddenly turned away. I keenly sensed a faintly sour scent in the air. I saw his shoulders trembling unnaturally. It was probably the first time he'd cried. He felt what it was like to have a home, to lighten the mood. I deliberately cracked a joke. Don't get all emotional just yet. I'm still going to charge you rent, as usual. You can stay, but you better figure out how to pay back the debt. Hearing this, Bai Wei wiped the corner of her eye and turned back. His eyes were slightly red, yet a radiant smile. Radiant smile. I just helped Bai Wei get settled, and was lying on the couch, ready to catch my breath. A sudden, jarring ring of the doorbell. Bai Wei instinctively took a step back in fright, having experienced that tragedy in her past life. My nerves are already stretched to the limit. I couldn't afford to let my guard down for even a moment, for fear that outside the door is the killer hiding in the shadows. I jumped up suddenly and shielded him tightly behind me. Take a look, sensing my overprotective nature. Although Bai Wei was a little surprised, a hint of sweetness flickered in her eyes. I pressed my face against the peephole, as if facing a formidable enemy, only to find that it was actually Zheng Yan standing outside, my prime suspect right now. On this day in my past life, Jiang Yan has never even been to my house. The timeline has changed. This sudden visit put me on high alert instantly. I forced myself to calm my pounding heart and open the door. Shengye, what are you doing here? Can't I just come see you when I feel like it? It was windy and rainy last night. You got soaked. I'm worried you'll catch a cold. I had my mom teach me how to make a warming soup, and brought it over for you. Looking at the thermos he's holding, it suddenly dawned on me. It turns out it was my decision to go out in the rain last night to discipline him that moved him, which triggered this butterfly effect. Looking at this person before me, with such meticulous attention to detail, who's standing right in front of me. The only thing is, how should one react to progress? I actually feel a bit of a headache. Then hurry up and drink 2 bowls while it's still hot. Just as Zheng Yan was about to walk in, when he suddenly spotted Bai Wei, whom I was shielding behind me. He froze for a moment. His gaze instantly darted back and forth between the two of us. Bai Wei. Do you know him? Got it. Thanks, sis. Looks like I came at the wrong time today. Drink this brown sugar, ginger, and jujube soup while it's hot. It's very nourishing for you too, sister-in-law. I still have to go to the hospital to take care of my mom. Can't you hear me? Zheng Yan turned and ran as fast as he could. Watching his sunny, unassuming back, I feel a mix of emotions. I really can't believe it. Such a deeply loyal and compassionate person could be that cruel murderer. I even desperately hope to find another real slacker as soon as possible, and clear his name as a deadbeat in my eyes. Bai Wei watches in the direction Jiang Yan left. Everyone says he's a real bully at school, but why doesn't he look like one at all? You can't judge a book by its cover. He's a man with a story too. Many things aren't as simple as they seem. I open the thermos, A rich aroma of ginger and jujube fills the air. I served 2 bowls and handed one of the bowls to Hot Gray. I got soaked last night too. You look a bit pale lately. Drink more to build up your strength. The spicy sweet broth goes down my throat. A wave of warmth instantly spreads through my limbs. I used to hear people bad-mouthing him all the time. I didn't expect him to be such a nice person. Just the pressures of life. He wouldn't have ended up like that otherwise. Hearing the words, forced by circumstances, Baiwei's expression suddenly darkened. Clearly, these few simple words also struck a deep chord with his own painful struggles. About what happened at Baiwei's home, I only know the basics. The case they investigated in his past life was, I looked for his parents, but basically came up empty-handed. His parents divorced and each started new families. He has always lived with his mother. Is that what makes me conclude that stormy night in a past life? With nowhere else to turn, Baiwei came to file a complaint. It's definitely tied to her family of origin. In my past life, I heard from a neighbor. That night, Baiwei rushed out of the house in the rain because she had a fight with her stepfather. It seems he even stabbed his stepfather. But when I asked him about it, they blurted out a denial. They said it was because the floor was slippery and slipped accidentally. They also said that my stepfather did it because he saw Baiwei with a photo of a boy saved on her phone. It was only after I said a few things to him that the argument started. Shortly after Baiwei left home, they went to the hospital. Surveillance footage confirms the time they arrived at the hospital. They have been cleared of suspicion. However, upon learning of Baiwei's death, her stepfather showed no reaction. But my mother fainted on the spot. She went completely mad afterward. What hurts me even more is, the survey shows, after leaving her mother's house, Baiwei went to her father's house. But not long after, he came out again. In the surveillance footage, he has his head bowed. His mood was even more subdued than when he arrived. That stormy night, he was turned away by 2 families closest to him, and finally ended up at my home. I can't imagine what it was like when he knocked on my door. How much despair he must have felt. Every time I think of this, the remorse in my heart was like a tidal wave, overwhelming me. Fortunately, heaven gave me a second chance. I will never let go of his hand again. I walked over to the sofa with a cup of hot milk. The Budweiser regime is reading in the corner. Warm light outlines his frail silhouette. I catch him unconsciously. Mom is rubbing the inside of her left wrist, a crescent-shaped, pale pink scar. Try it with some honey. I placed the glass in the palm of his hand. He was just about to say thank you. But then, remembering my experience, he swallowed the flowers back down. In a haze of milkiness, I noticed he was actually looking at me, casually placed on the bookshelf. What, you want to be a fortune teller? Yeah, wait. I've learned to do the math for you. He gave a mischievous smile. As the two were talking, a piercing car horn suddenly sounded outside the window. Baiwei froze in place. Several cartons of milk nearly spilled. I quickly grabbed his trembling hand. After confirming that nothing was happening outside the window, she sits back down next to him. Gently take his hand. Don't worry. You still owe me a debt. Until you pay it off, no one can take you away. Baiwei, who had just been startled, heard these words. My heart was beating even faster. Once I've learned, let's see if we're a good match. I'm afraid you'll bring me bad luck, you creditor. Upon hearing this, Baiwei, her face instantly flushed. He had already secretly compared the two of them. That's quite a surprise. What's your college major? I do have some ideas, though. But I haven't decided yet. What about you? It's simple for me. Whatever you hold, I'll hold. You owe me a huge debt. I don't follow you around all the time. If you run off, I'll lose everything. Budweiser gently swirls the soup with his spoon. Looking into my smiling eyes, a bittersweet sensation wells up in the back of my throat. I think applying to Jinan University, or the psychology program at Kyoto Medical University. Those two universities are no joke. How did you come to study psychology? The memory of his mother losing her mind suddenly flashed through my mind. Could it be that his mother had a mental illness to begin with? Baiwei opened her mouth slightly. In the end, she didn't explain. That's a good major. It's a good way to toughen up mentally. I'll do my very best. Then I'll tutor you. He looked at me in surprise. My grades right now are only average in the class. While he's at the top of the class, what, do you look down on me? Oh, you're lying. You can't look people in the eye when you're lying. And you pause when you speak. I know. To his ears, those words suggested to him that I had been secretly watching him. The sweetness in his heart instantly surpassed that of the milk. To prove himself, I brought 5 years of college entrance exam papers and 3 years of practice tests. I breezed through several pages, fast and accurate. Actually, in my past life, to get into the People's Public Security University, track down the real culprit, I studied like a madman. These problems have long been etched into my soul. Check out my hidden academic prowess. A look of admiration flashed in Baiwei's eyes. Then I'll owe you another tutoring fee. What if I can't pay it back? Then hurry up and give me the money so I can buy the device. I pulled out a pen and paper and handed them to him. It was just a joke. I didn't expect him to actually take it. He lowered his head and began writing intently. I was just curious to see what he would write. But Baiwei only wrote object of sale and coaching party on the paper. There was a large blank space between the characters in Baiwei. He smiled and handed the paper back to me. The condition in the middle. Here, you, the creditor, can fill it out yourself. Doesn't that mean I can do whatever I want? So, what kind of service would you like? Your Honor. He gave a mischievous smile. I suddenly leaned in close to his ear. My warm breath brushed against the back of his ear, making him feel a tingling sensation. Forget the service. I've got one order tonight. Hearing this, Baiwei nervously swallowed. You have to go to bed by 12. You're not allowed to get up before 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'll make breakfast tomorrow. He gave me a surprised look and felt a warm glow in my heart. She smiled brightly. As you wish, my lord creditor. After nightfall, under my absolute command, Baiwei obediently went to bed. I poured him a glass of hot milk. It's okay to lock the door. I backed out, but he looked at the doorknob and ultimately didn't lock it. Back to the bedroom. I often held my breath. In a past life, to numb the guilt, I worked like a madman on the case. I even turned down the easy assignment Master Lian arranged for me. She was afraid that if she had nothing to do, she'd think of him. Now I'm back where I was 10 years ago. He was saved. I'm finally free. After some mental suggestion, I fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, I returned to a corner of the park from my childhood. A little girl, looking like a porcelain doll, is sobbing. Why are you still crying at your age? I'm not crying. Did they bully you? I'll make them apologize to you. The little girl quickly grabbed him and said it had nothing to do with anyone else. Ji Yun Nansheng pulled out a clean handkerchief his mother had prepared.